The other day we were listening to Kids Bop in the car, and he was like, I just had a great idea. What if they made a Kids Bop, but for adults where it says the bad words? So and I was like, so
the
like
original song?
Original, like, so you mean the music I listen to in the car all the time? We were only listening to Kids Bop because Elle was trying to explain to us that the song A, B, C, D, E, F, U, like how it's like
A, B, C, D, E,
F you and your mom and your brother and your whatever. I was like, how do they do that with Kids Bop? And she was trying to explain it to me.
So what do?
They say A, B, C, D, E, F, forget you.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I went to Kids Bop just to listen, but that was Austin's $1 million idea.
Did you ever have the Now?
Yeah.
Now 72 with Cisco. I saw a meme where it was like, can Cisco do another song, but about like women's shapewear that it is actually covering on your bottom? Not a thong song, like a tidy whitey song.
Tidy whitey song?
Yeah. Like a
granny panty song?
Yeah, like a granny panty song.
Some boy short songs. Yeah. Some oversized t-shirt songs.
Good lounge set song.
Yeah, I mean, my jammies songs, my fuzzies.
A good bonnet and heatless curler song.
When you're wearing nothing but your slippers. It's like supposed to be super sexy when you have nothing but heels on. Like, what about if I'm fully ass naked with my mushroom slippers, with my fuzzy mushroom slippers? Is that sexy?
Yeah.
Can that be sexy?
Let me see those granny panties.
I love it. Okay. Before we get started, I'm keeping that in there. Some of that is staying. You were saying something to me about something on Bravo, which always all of our conversations lead to something on Bravo. I learned so much from you.
It's my entire personality.
That's your Roman Empire.
It is literally.
But tell me what you were talking about with the hair situation.
Wait, what?
With the girl having to cut her hair.
Oh, okay. So, there is a Housewives franchise, Real Housewives of Miami. And this new season, it's the beginning of the season, one of the women finds out that she has breast cancer.
Okay.
And it's a whole thing with Larsa Pippen. She like outs to everybody that this girl has breast cancer. Anyways.
Dude.
So you're watching her whole journey, and her husband is incredibly supportive and great. And then she has very long, beautiful black hair. She's Haitian. And she films when she like chops her hair off and like gets a buzz cut. And she's like sobbing. And she's very expressive already, but she's sobbing. And I saw the video or the clip get posted on the internet, and so many people in the comments were so fucking awful and hateful, and were like, oh my God, like it's not that big of a deal. And, you know, oh God, she's so dramatic. And you and I have very strong opinions about this with our hair.
Yeah.
And do you want to go into that?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you go first.
Yeah. So I was just like, man, like the lack of empathy and compassion, and also just the world of social media where it's just so instant. You think you know people's story, and like you watch one clip, and we get this all the time on our social media. People watch one clip and they think that they
make assumptions.
They make assumptions. They have our podcast figured out. They have what we talk about figured out. And I'm like, bro, you don't even know what you're talking about, Dave. Like, come on. And so for me, I have hair extensions. I have long hair. I love my long hair. There is a reason why I love my long hair. So I have shared with listeners that I was bulimic growing up. Before I was bulimic, as a way of feeling in control over an environment that I didn't feel control in, I pulled my hair out. I pulled my eyelashes out. I pulled my eyebrows out because I felt so out of control in my surroundings.
I don't think I realized that level, that deep of a level, because you were the first person I ever microbladed. Like,
yes.
we did your brows and you're like, they just don't grow. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was because of that.
I have never said that to anybody besides you and Tony.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Until now.
Until now. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So, like, me having long hair, me having eyebrows, me having just regular lashes, those are big deals for me.
Yeah.
Like, so if somebody may assume or stereotype, like, oh God, she's so high maintenance, she has hair extensions. To that I say, yeah. Also, there's more to that story.
Right.
There always is. So, at that time, that was what I knew, and that was a way of helping me cope.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any other tools to cope. I didn't have a safe adult. I didn't have anybody to talk to. I couldn't escape.
Yeah.
You don't have an avenue, so you find other ways to self-soothe, and that was one of the things that I did. And then as I got older, there was a lot of shame around it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just gonna own it because it's a part of my story. So,
well, and
hair extensions and all.
I, as an adult, have always had long hair.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Like, tied to my long hair. I never had extensions until the last few years. I didn't need them because my hair was always long. But I realized over the last few years, I have such a strong opinion on short hair on me. Like, if you can rock it, totally. But like, I have such an aversion to short hair on myself because I grew up with my mom keeping my hair short. My hair is very naturally curly. I don't think she knew what to do with it. She also had short hair, so she would just cut my hair to match hers. And it was a big deal for me. Like, I always wanted long hair. My younger sister got to always have long hair.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Why did you have to have short hair and then your sister got to have long hair?
Good question. I don't fucking know.
Interesting.
Sometimes
I find that very interesting.
Well, I think it's because my sister had red hair. She was born a redhead, and it was this long, beautiful, wavy hair. And anytime we would be out with her, like, people would always be like, oh my God, your hair's so beautiful. And talk about like ugly stepsister syndrome. Like, we're full siblings, but I really had a complex because nobody ever commented about my hair. But they were always looking at her hair and commenting, and it's so beautiful, and oh my gosh, her hair is so red and long and pretty. I had to braid it sometimes. Like, at night after our baths, like, I would have to braid my little sister's hair, and I would like, it's, you know how many times I wanted to like fucking cut her hair off.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds so terrible, but
No.
like, she was always the favorite. So that really fucked me up a little bit.
Interesting. Because you were what's funny is because you're not really a rebel
No,
in a lot of ways. You are very much so a rule follower.
I'm a rule follower.
Even though
I know.
as I know people are like, people are probably like so
Really?
puzzled, right? Really, bitch? Like,
No, I will, like, if there is like a speed limit, I'm following
God,
it.
God, yes.
I don't
Yes.
like to take snacks into the theater because I'm afraid we're going to get caught. For real. My husband sneaks into shit all the time, and I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Tony would stress you out so much.
Oh, I can't. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a rule follower. What were you going to say with that?
I don't remember.
Damn it.
Okay, hang on. Give it a second. I don't remember. I'll come to it. That's all right.
Oh, you were like, you weren't a rebel. My sister being the favorite.
Oh, okay. Yes. Now I know. Thank you.
Okay.
You weren't a rebel, so it's interesting to me that you were kind of like the rebel in your family, though.
I think I was
really
the black sheep in the
aren't.
sense that, like
you're not argumentative, you're not confrontational, you're not. But you were with your mom.
I was with my mom. We butt
Yeah.
heads a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. So back to that, like, I was showing you photos of myself as a kid the other day. Like, when I say short hair, I don't mean like shoulder length. Like, girl had a fro. I had I really did.
And I hate laughing at that.
It's okay. You can laugh at it.
Those pictures, like, you have very, like, I do not have I have fine hair, but I have a lot of it. So it's like I have long hair, but I do extensions for volume. Or you have really thick hair.
Yeah.
And so, like, you have such beautiful hair. And so you just look so...
I look like a little old woman. I really did. I wore big glasses. Like, I know those glasses are super cute on you, but those are the kind of glasses I had to wear as a kid.
Well, they're trendy now. They weren't trendy
Thank God.
then.
Like, thank you now for being trendy. But like, yeah, I had big glasses. I looked like a little old woman. Like, my hair was short, like a granny cut.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a bob.
No, it wasn't a bob. It wasn't cute.
And it was curly.
And brushed out. And we're going to have to post some of these. I feel like we have before, but people are going to be searching for them.
I mean, your kid photos are. So it is like,
I just remembered.
Kiss.
There was the
Chef's
first time
kiss.
when when my husband and I first started dating, I've always straightened my hair. Like, literally since the moment I discovered what a straightener was, I've straightened it. I've done keratin treatments. Like, I keep the frizz out. I do what I need to do to keep it straight. Mm-hmm. I don't embrace my natural curl. And people are like, oh my God, you should. I'm like, no.
I think that too.
No.
What do I know?
But so we had probably been dating at least a good 6 to 9 months. And we go to the lake. And I'm like in the water. I get on the boat. My hair is naturally drying. And he goes, what happened to your hair? So anyway, it's just funny because we had this talk the other day because I've always had this thing with my hair, and for like a decade I would do pink hair or blue hair. I've always done color in my hair, and it wasn't until like 2020 that I've just been like this basic ass. I don't mean to say basic, like just this natural color.
Right.
It's not my natural color. But he said, I just prefer your hair natural. And I'm like, don't say that because you don't. Like, if you prefer my hair natural, you're saying dark with curls.
Right.
And he's like, well, not like that. Anyway, so I have always had this thing with my hair. And last year I had to cut it. And I was like distraught over it. But I noticed it because I used to like post a lot more reels and photos and things with our Instagram. And I noticed like, you're like, you need to post more of that. I stopped when my hair got cut.
And you didn't realize it. Really.
I didn't even realize that. I was just like, what happened? Like, where did my confidence go? Like, why am I not wanting to be in front of the camera anymore? That was why. How crazy is that? But the full circle moment here. So I've always hated shorter hair because I was forced to have short hair as a kid growing up. My mom came to stay with me a couple weeks ago, and some of you may or may not know that we're healing. We're healing. It is what it is.
I think you've accepted that she is how she's going to be.
There's nothing I can say.
And you're not trying to change her or convince her of anything that should or shouldn't have happened. And also, I think she is much more respectful of your boundaries. Well, and she knows she can't.
Yes. And I have something to say about that too.
Okay.
Put a pin in that.
Okay.
Put a pin in that. About when I was getting my tattoo and what was said. Put a pin in that.
Okay.
So she has been growing her hair out. It's like waist length now because she's been taking care of my mamaw, who is elderly and has dementia. And then my aunt has been growing her hair out because of my mamaw. And I was like, oh my God, my mom grew up like holiness, couldn't cut her hair, couldn't wear pants, couldn't wear makeup. Every female in her family had to have long hair. So my mom's short hair thing as I was growing up was her rebellion against her having to have long hair as a kid. And she's doing it now because she's like taking care of my mamaw. My mom was like, I wish you'd grow your hair out. And so she started growing her hair back out. But I was like, oh my God, that full circle. Like, I hated having short hair because my mom forced me to have short hair, and then realizing my mom had short hair because her parents forced her to have long hair.
It's so wild.
It's so wild. I have like a little bit more empathy and compassion for like her shit. I have a lot more empathy and compassion for her shit, but like that connection to my hair was like, holy shit.
That's growth.
Yeah. So
like
I will be wearing extensions until my hair is this length again, because you know, I
But you have compassion for her.
Yeah.
Instead of resentment.
Yeah. So let me tell you what was said. The pen.
All right.
Take it out. Jinx. So I was getting some work done on my tattoo, and we were talking about this, and she was just like, well, don't you want to say something to, like, shouldn't you say something to her? I can't remember exactly what she said, but like, wouldn't you want to tell her if she was like being like not able to hear you? And I was like, what would the point of that be though? I tried my whole life to get her to see my side of things, and she wasn't able to. And it would just cause and create more conflict within myself too.
Yeah.
Because then I would just be like, oh my God, she doesn't get it. So like bringing it up to her now when I know that she is who she is, and she is, I don't want to say she's not capable, because everybody is capable of changing and self-reflecting, but doing it when she may not be ready is only going to cause more distress in the relationship that is unnecessary. That's growth, right?
Yeah. And I think before, because I'm guilty of this too, so much, and still a little bit, but trying to control where it's like
I can't.
They can only meet you where they are.
Right.
It is what it is.
And you can try until you die.
Accepting that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a hard lesson, but also it's a necessary lesson.
Yeah. And so anyway, that's my story about my hair and yours.
Yeah.
So just knowing that like there's always something deeper than the surface.
Yeah. So many of like friends have reached out since I've done this podcast, and they're like, I had no idea. I had no idea that it was that intense. I had no idea that you struggled that much. And I'm like, well, yeah, I didn't tell you.
Right.
I struggled with safety within myself and with other people. So I didn't know a lot of these things myself, and so I wasn't going to share it with you.
Right.
So
you're just now learning all these things about yourself.
Literally.
We're like learning as we're growing and healing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a phenomenon too, is like the more you heal, the more you learn about yourself, and also have compassion and empathy for other people around you and what they may or may not be going through and where they are and their capacity to hold things versus yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where I am now is a very different place than I think where my mom is. So I'm able to hold where she is and to see it for what it is. And I don't want to disrupt that for her. Right. I'm not trying to force her to be anything. It still hurts.
I think that that type of grief will always be there. It doesn't necessarily go away. You just learn to sit with it a little bit better.
So let's go into healing a little bit. I didn't even mean to do that, but that did that. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do this with you today because some of you know my husband is an alcoholic in recovery. He went through the 12 steps. We have touched on a little bit of that, but when he started the program, like I bought the book for myself. Not even like I wanted to understand where he was going in this journey, and I didn't want to like not be a part of it.
That's one of the things I love most about you.
What?
That like he's doing something, so you dive right in, so you learn all about it.
Unless it's his work stuff, because I don't know anything about tech stuff.
But when it comes to like his healing, his growth, him becoming better, you becoming better, you guys growing together.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like when I was first pregnant, you know, that book everybody reads that's like,
yeah.
I don't even remember the fucking name of it, but it's like what to expect when you're expecting.
Yes.
I wanted him to read it with me, and he was like, why? Like he didn't understand that. And I was like, because I want you to understand what I'm going through at the same time that I'm going through
That's what I mean. A lot of people may not be like that or get it in that way where you want to understand.
I want to understand.
You want to learn why they are the way that they are and why they do what they do. Like you go down that rabbit hole.
Right. So I understand the 12 steps to the degree that I understand them, because I've never worked the program, but I was there every step of the way and understood which ones were probably going to be really hard for him. But I want to talk about this because literally from the time I read it, I immediately was like, hold on a minute. These are like integration steps when you do like a psychedelic journey. This is like, these are steps to healing. And I already knew at that point, like the whole history of Bill Wilson and doing LSD and it being a part of the culture of AA before the 60s were around, before the 60s came and knocked that out of the way. Like it was an underground thing. It was a big part of AA is that LSD spiritual experience. We don't have to get into that right now. We don't have to get into the history of it. We have posts on that and we have talked about it before. So as I'm reading the book and the steps, I'm like, okay, Bill Wilson fucking got it. Like these are literally like steps to integrating a psychedelic experience, but also steps to healing.
Yeah.
Period. So if there's anything that AA has gotten right since then, this is it. So hear me out. You do not have to be an alcoholic to follow these steps.
Can I say why I wanted to do this episode today?
Yeah.
Okay. So I came to Leah and I was like, I feel like there are certain people that we know that are healing. They're healing. They're doing the breath work. They're doing the therapy. They're doing the psychedelic journeys. They're doing all of these things, but they're using it as a way to be like, I'm doing the work, but you're not, and you're not, and you're not, and you're not, and I'm here, and you're down here, and you need to get on my level, which we have said those things before as well. Like my vibration is here and I want people to meet us here. But there is a lack of accountability that comes with it.
Or self-awareness.
And self-awareness and self-reflection. And also a lack of, yes, this may be happening in this relationship with this person. And I may feel that they did this. But is there a way that I also contributed to this as well?
So you literally brought this to me like people should be reflecting on what they are doing, like how they are contributing to the problem.
It's not just
this person's
projection.
doing this.
Yes. Because, and I think oftentimes I'm guilty of it. I know you're guilty of it, where it's like, I'm a victim. They did this to me. And you know, again, in our childhood, it was unfair. I said earlier, I felt like I couldn't escape. I didn't have, you know, coping mechanisms that were healthy. But it got to a point where I wasn't in that situation anymore. I wasn't in that environment. I could make my own choices, but I still had toxic patterns.
Yeah.
And then I had to be like, okay, like I'm fucking me up.
Yes, you are.
It's on me now.
That's going to make more sense when you hear what I have to say.
Okay. And
yes,
so
you are, bitch.
Yeah, it's on, like, what do I need to do?
Well, it's like what I was saying.
Because I can't control A, B, C, D, but I can control me.
Right.
So what is it that I need to do? And then, you know, with the mushroom journey, it was like, oh, fuck, I've got like a lot of toxic patterns and behaviors. And yes, I may have chose toxic partners, but also I chose toxic partners because I was toxic as well.
Yeah.
They may have been toxic because they cheated on me and, you know, had abusive tendencies or whatever, but like
there was something you were doing.
Yeah, I was attracted to that. I stayed in it. You know, there's so much to it. And so that sometimes bothers me to see, where I see this kind of like righteousness and ego. And I'm like, have you checked yourself?
Right.
Sir, ma'am?
And it's easy to say now versus like 4 or 5 years ago. And I used to be this person too. Like I was the victim, and I absolutely was married to an alcoholic.
Sure.
I, on the outside, looked very much like a victim. And where I am now is like, even I had a role to play in that. I did. I didn't defend myself. I didn't want to sever connection, so I stayed. I apologized when I shouldn't have been apologized. I apologized for my feelings. I apologized for getting upset. You know, I played a role in my own suffering.
Yeah. Well, you are a very vocal former people pleaser.
Yeah.
People pleasing is a form of manipulation.
It's not a flex.
Yeah, it is. It is not a flex.
It is manipulation.
To be liked by everybody.
And it's manipulation wrapped in a pretty bow.
Yes.
Because it looks like you're the person who's going to go above and beyond, but really you're doing it because you don't want to sever any connections. Mm-hmm. You want people to like you for what you do for them.
Yeah.
And it's really a disservice to yourself. Yeah. It's a disservice to the other people too, because then when you do start putting up boundaries and you do start saying no, they are like, what?
I don't like that. You're not as cool as I thought you were. And it's like, well, then you didn't know me.
Right.
Because that wasn't me. That was just me.
People pleasing.
That was me sucking your ass.
Literally. And
I don't want to suck your ass anymore.
I don't want to do it anymore. It sucks. It's gross.
No more ass sucking for us.
No more. But it's a hard pattern to break out of too, that people pleasing. I've gotten so much better at it, but it's still, you know, when it's difficult, it's when it's like if it's with somebody that we really do genuinely love and appreciate and care about.
We were just talking about this.
Yes.
If and I tell you this all the time, if you come at me all saucy and sassy, guess what?
Come and wrap it.
I'm not going to feel as bad, okay?
Yeah.
Telling you no.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm going to be like, yeah, easy. No, dog. But if you're like, sweet, like you want to spend time, and I'm just like, no, I'm just emotionally tapped out. It's not personal. It's a lot harder for me to say no because I'm not trying to sever the bond there, but I am trying to
protect yourself.
I'm just trying to protect myself. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
And that is really tough. And that's something that I'm still very much so working on.
So, okay. You want to get into it?
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it 30 minutes later. Whatever. It's fine. So one of the things that I have been vocal about this too is like step one in AA is to admit that you're powerless. And I hate that step because you're not, but I'm retracting that statement.
Okay.
I think it's necessary in the beginning.
Why?
I think you have to because you are. You have to admit it because you are powerless to that substance or in a situation. So let's take
give some examples.
I want to say, well, my husband was powerless to alcohol. Like alcohol had a control over him. The goal is to become empowered, but you're not there yet. So before I was like, I don't like saying you're powerless to anything because you're not. But like there are a lot of people who are powerless in their dynamics, in their relationship, in their work environment, in their take alcohol out of it, take drugs and alcohol out of it. You can be powerless. And I was powerless. So the first step to AA is admitting that.
What were you powerless to?
Oh God. I didn't have a voice. I was powerless to honestly like honoring myself and loving myself. Like I didn't have that. Is that a good enough answer?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was powerless because I thought I was stuck in a situation and I was never going to get out of it. And that's just not true. But I feel like at the time I had to admit that I was. So that's only the first step. So I retract my statement about like that not being a first step. Okay. Also, I was going to bring the AA book, but I couldn't find it. So I found this one instead. This is what my husband started with. And a lot of people are opposed to AA because of the religious parts of it. This takes the religion out of it, but it's Russell Brand's book, Recovery. But I love it because while the first step in AA is admitting that you're powerless, his first step is, are you a bit fucked?
Oh, I love that.
Are you a bit fucked?
This is going to be so much saucier than
the
regular AA.
I know. Okay. Like add a little spicy to the...
It's like the guy?
Yes! So are you a bit fucked?
Yeah. I used to be very fucked.
Is there something in your life that you can't change? And what is it? And are you powerless in this situation? Are you fucked? Admit that to yourself. Because I think a lot of people, especially in alcoholics or drug addicts, or I mean anyone really, they're like, no, I'm not powerless to it. I'm not powerless to it. I'm not fucked. Like, I can stop anytime.
So there's a lack of self-awareness, and also like you have to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah. And so this says like, you know, it's got, you have to have a level of honesty, because addiction, replace the word addiction with like any situation that you are unhealed in or stuck in, causes a level of denial that can be quite challenging. So I was in denial. Like, even when I was in my lowest depressive episodes, I was in denial about it. Like, how can I be depressed? Like, look at my life. I have 3 healthy kids. Like, I have a husband who cooks and cleans and provides. And why am I depressed? There's no reason to be. Like, I was in denial about my literal existence. like being as bad as it was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I woke up that I was like, oh my God, this is why I've been depressed. Like, I've been living in this shit for so long that it was normal to me. So yeah, there's a level, you have to be honest. So no matter how much you push someone into recovery, and again, take this to like any unhealed person. So like, let's take this back to my mom. I don't know how much healing she's done. It doesn't matter. But no matter how much you push someone into recovery, unless they accept that there's a problem, it's impossible. So I cannot force my mom to be where I am in my healing. It is all on me. Okay?
Yeah.
So yeah, the first step is like admitting that you're powerless over something. Once you admit that it's in control of you and not the other way around, then you can go to the next step.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Which is?
I'm just going to do Russell Brand's.
Okay. Do it. Yeah.
Could you not be fucked? So in AA, it's having faith that like there's a possibility that you could get better.
Right.
Like, have a little bit of faith that this program would work. So in this situation, it's like, could you not be fucked? Just think about it. Think about a life where you're not powerless anymore, where you have a voice, where you are able to make changes.
So it makes me think of, what I was talking about earlier, where someone is constantly a victim, and it's like, I'm in this bad marriage, and they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing this, they're doing that, but it's all they, them.
Yeah.
Whereas it needs to be, what can I do about this?
Could you leave?
Is he willing
Is
to
that
change?
a possibility?
Or is she willing to change?
Could you speak up? Yeah. Is that a possibility? Right. Could you get help? Is that a possibility?
Yeah. Am I contributing to this in some way that I need to heal and grow and change still?
Right. So yeah, faith. You need to accept that this is where people get lost and they get stuck and they remove themselves from this whole program, because this is like, accept that there's a higher power in the universe other than yourself. It can be God. It can be a higher power. You can just say it's the universe conspiring in your favor. It doesn't have to be God, and it doesn't have to be religious. But like, just trust that there is a possibility that things will work out for you. That's all step 2 is, just having faith. Okay. Step 3. Are you on your own going to unfuck yourself?
I fucking love these.
You might want to read this book. It's actually really good. Yeah. I mean, he's like referring to like his addictions, but like, I swear to God, this can go for just
so good.
Literally anything.
Yes, so good.
So yeah. So now that you've accepted a higher power and you welcome them by surrendering, blah, 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 blah. Focus on the true meaning of your life so you can feel like a valuable member of society again. So really the third step is surrender. But like, really, he's saying like, are you on your own going to unfuck yourself? So just surrendering to the fact that like there's a possibility. Step 4. This is where a lot of people get stuck in AA, my husband included. This is the hardest one, and this is why we brought this up earlier. Write down all the things that are fucking you up or ever have fucked you up, and don't lie or leave anything out. Now, this is where you also have to, like, Jason, my husband, had to write a list of resentments and who they were towards, and he had pages of them. And then out beside it, he had to write, after he was done listing them out, had to write the role he played in it. You don't get to skip that part. You don't get to skip it. You can sit here and write a list of grievances that people have fucked you over and people have done to you. And then you literally have to go back and out beside it write the thing that you did. So this is like impossible to skip that, like, self-reflection, that self-awareness part. You can't.
I love that.
So this is in real life too. Yes. So, okay. My husband, I'm just going to give this as an example. You know, I would have resentments like, you went out all night and you didn't tell me where you're going and you didn't come home and your phone was off, and I resent you for that. And then the role that I played, well, he did that all the time and I never really held him accountable for it. And of course he would continue to do it because there were never any repercussions.
You accepted it.
And I accepted it, and I would be mad for a minute, and then I would be lovey-dovey again because he didn't like when I was mad. And I didn't want to sever that connection.
Wow.
So I would get the silent treatment because I was mad, and then I would, like, stop being mad so I wasn't getting the silent treatment anymore.
Wow.
So it's a real fucked up way of, like, well, but I contributed to that. It's kind of like what you've always said, like, you teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
You know, like, I didn't do what I didn't love myself enough to, like, put a stop to it. Not even just to put a stop to it, because again, I couldn't control what he was doing, but I could have removed myself from the situation. I could have done something different. So it's back on me. Well, I could have done something different.
Right. And for me, let's say with my past partners, I constantly dated men that cheated on me.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, that was just the norm. But yes, I was unlike you in the sense where I would speak up, we would break up, all of that. But something I learned about myself, and I would blame them. They cheated on me. Fuck them. Go to another one. Oh, he cheated on me. Fuck him. Go to another one. He cheated on me. Fuck him. Go to another one. Why was I attracted to those type of men?
You've had to do that work.
Yeah. I liked the drama and the chaos because that was what was familiar for me. So it's like, yes, those men did those things, but there were so many red flags that I ignored.
Yeah.
And I was gravitated to them, knowing those things about them and knowing that they, like, deep in my gut and my heart, knowing that they weren't the right man for me.
Right.
It's what I felt like I deserved.
Were you a fix-a-hoe?
I was a fix-a-hoe. I loved an asshole.
You also like loved like the challenge of forcing someone to love you.
That, and like I liked combativeness.
Yeah.
Like, so I wasn't like you where I would, bow down. Oh, I would fight back.
Yeah.
But I also liked that drama of the fighting. Like, I was attracted to fighting.
Yeah.
I'm a fighter.
That makes a lot of fucking sense.
Yeah. So it's like, so again, for a long time, it was they're an asshole, they're an asshole, they're an asshole. But it's like, bitch, you had some toxic shit too.
Right?
Like,
oh, okay. So what he says is, yeah, write things down that you've ever that are fucking you up or have ever fucked you up, and don't lie or leave anything out. And then the AA step is like it's like soul searching. It's a process just like recovery. There's no single moment that defines healing. Instead, it's a culmination of intentions and actions that lead you down the right path. Soul searching involves looking objectively inwards at yourself. So soul searching is the thing that helps you become a better person.
I love that.
Not pointing fingers. It's like that old saying, when you point fingers, you got three more pointing right back at you.
I think of that meme where it's like Spider-Man and they're all like pointing
at each
other.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, actually, no, you are the problem.
Yeah.
You are also the solution though.
Yes.
Like you might be the problem, but you're also the solution.
And how empowering can that be?
Well,
if you let it be.
Get through all this stuff and you'll get to the point where you're empowered.
Right.
So, all right. Step 5 is integrity in the real book, but in his book, in Russell Brand's book, it's honestly tell someone trustworthy about how fucked you are. So Jason had a sponsor. This is why sponsors are so important in AA, because he could go to his sponsor and be open and honest about, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I've never seen his list. His step 4 list, never seen it, but his sponsor has, and his sponsor worked over it with him, like every single one of them. Whereas me, I'm like, but how many pages were about me? How many? Because there were a lot of resentments he had towards me. Like he resented that I got pregnant.
Ooh,
and that's something I couldn't help. I mean, I could. Let me take that back. He resented me for getting pregnant accidentally when I was 23. And it forced him to be a dad. But his role in that was, well, I had unprotected sex with my girlfriend at the time, and I was never careful. And so that's on me.
Right.
My bad.
Right. It's not just
I can't resent you for choosing to have the baby who made me a father.
Right. He was an active participant.
But that resentment held on to our relationship for the next 15 years,
because you guys probably never really talked about it or had that hard conversation.
Nope. We just went immediately into being young parents before we were ready, and it took away from his partying and drinking, but he resented me for it.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so integrity, like these are the types of things that he had to talk with his sponsor about. So honestly, for me, that's part of like maybe having a support group, having friends that you can honestly and openly talk to about what you're going through and understanding the role that you played in it. But while like talking back and forth with a friend, possibly like he did A, B, and C, but I'm doing this, and this, and there might be a different perspective and he probably sees it a different way or they probably see it a different way. It doesn't have to be he, it can be she, whatever the situation is. I think it's good to have that person that you can go back and forth with. 6 is acceptance. So Russell Brand says, well, that's a lot of fucked up patterns. Do you want to stop it? Seriously? That's the name of this chapter. So in AA, it's called acceptance. It's where you accept that like, oh shit, I've done a lot of fucked up shit. Addiction is often underpinned by low self-esteem and a negative opinion of yourself. And once you learn to accept that everyone has both good and bad characteristics, it'll be easier to accept yourself. Sometimes the hardest aspect of acceptance is letting go of the painful stories we tell ourselves about the past. However, once you accept your history, you can start telling yourself now happy stories about your future. So anyway, yeah, this is like, all right, now that you've accepted that there's this issue, like, how are we moving forward? Do you want to stop doing what you're doing? No, but really, do you? Okay, then let's work on that. 7 is, are you willing to live in a new way that's not all about you and your previous fucked up stuff?
Do a lot of people get stuck on that step? Because I feel like we get a lot of comments where it's like, hey, I want to change, but I'm not willing to change.
Right. But that's going to be really hard.
So like, yeah, I want to still keep my life. I still want to keep these patterns, but I just want to feel better. And I'm like, okay, so you're not ready to change yet because you have to change things.
Right. Or what about the people who have reached out to us and said, I really want to do something like this, like with mushrooms or a journey. But they're like, but what if it says that like, I shouldn't be with my husband? What if I get a divorce after this?
And it's so funny because it's like, that's what people say right off the bat.
Yeah.
I want to do this, but I'm worried I'm going to divorce my husband. Well, are there problems there?
Or in Tony's situation, I want to do this, but I'm afraid I'm going to quit my job. And then what's he do? He quits his job. But I know he already had that plan. But it's like, we know you already had it in your head. We know that mushrooms didn't put that in there. It was already there.
Right.
They're not going to force you to do anything.
Right.
But
where for me, doing mushrooms, that wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
with Tony, my partner, because it was that, like, I knew that he was supportive and willing to grow and evolve with me. And if like we need to do something, he would do it.
Yeah.
So that wasn't even on my radar.
I think it's on a lot of people's radar because it's what they think. I think it's their subconscious telling them something's off.
Yeah.
So again, don't be afraid of, like, if it's in your head, it's in there for a reason. But mushrooms aren't going to force you to divorce your husband or quit your job.
Well, and you never know. Maybe mushrooms and healing will hold you both accountable, and you both will heal and grow together.
Yeah.
It's not just, doesn't have to just be divorce.
So in the real steps, step 7, instead of it being, are you willing to live in a new way that's not all about you, is humility. So this says, antisocial behaviors such as drinking alcohol or doing drugs or withdrawing from peers often stems from a confused sense of self. When you let go and ask a higher power for help, you will relieve a huge weight of pressure from your life. So that's just, I don't know how to like relate those two. I know it's the same step, but I think that confused sense of self is there. Mm-hmm. Often, a lot. Yeah. Like, we don't know much about who we are and what we want. And that, I guess that's the thing. Like, you think you don't want to divorce your husband, but like, that's the thing that you're afraid of happening. Well,
yeah. Why?
There's something there telling you. Anyway. All right. Step 8. Prepare to apologize to everyone for everything affected by your being so fucked up.
I think I've said this, but after my first mushroom journey, I went on a little apology tour.
That happens with a lot of people. Yeah. I've had a few people who do a mushroom journey and then go on an apology tour.
I was somebody who was a fighter.
Yeah.
So I was going to look for something to fight with you about, or look for something to be angry with you about, not just romantic relationships with, just people in my life. And so there were a lot of people who I messaged and I was like, hey, I'm really sorry. I was such an asshole in high school. Like, I was angry. I was not having a great time at home. And I projected it onto you
because it's not a fun time.
Right. Bad vibes all around.
Yeah.
But I projected
10 out of 10 would not recommend.
Right. Would like a refund, please. But I projected it onto people who didn't cut me.
Yeah.
And although, yes, I was a victim during that time, like, they were also victims of my wrath as well.
Yeah.
Because I had a sharp ass tongue. And if I were coming at you, yeah, you weren't going to win. So that's something I had to learn to be accountable for. And now it's to the point where I'm like, I love my strength and I love my voice and I love that. But I'm very like, I don't be soft. I don't know how to be soft, but you're getting better.
You are getting better.
Yeah, but I'm very like, I'm conscious of, I don't want to hurt you. I still want to say what I want to say.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, and I'm working on how to say it.
Yeah.
Which takes time.
It's all into the delivery. So that makes a lot of sense.
Sometimes I don't know how to deliver.
Does anybody until they start? Well, and sometimes the delivery is different based on the person,
right?
Like who you're delivering it to.
Right. It's work.
It's about learning each other's languages. Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah.
So that one's just preparing to apologize. So like you have to get into this.
Oh, okay.
So step 8 in the real AA is like the willingness. You'll write a list of people you've harmed, ponder carefully over your actions. Instead of feeling guilty or wallowing in it, think of ideas to make amends. Genuinely show a willingness to make amends with that. Now, when my husband got to this step, it's hard because like you're like, oh my God, I have to do like a whole ass list of everybody I've hurt in my entire life. No. Like, if they're important to you, yes. If they're in your immediate life, yes. If there is something that happened 20 years ago and you're still like dealing with the shame and the guilt of it, yes. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not in, conversation, even if you're not in direct contact with that person anymore, like if you're still living with that guilt and that shame, then yeah, put them on your list. So the next step is now apologize. Unless that would make things worse. So there were people on his list where he was like, it would probably hurt my marriage if I reached out to this person and apologized. I don't know. I'm just making that up. I don't know. But like, if it's not helpful, if it's not going to help you or the other person, if it's just going to do them harm, then don't do it. I think another thing with this is, let's say I'm going to use this as an example. Let's say I cheated on someone like 20 years ago in high school. Yeah. I'm not going to reach out to that person and tell them I cheated on them.
Right.
No.
They're going to be like, cool, I'm married with 3 kids and 2 dogs.
Right. They'd be like, cool, I cheated on you too. Awesome. Like, that's more of the story, you know? But yeah, unless it's not going to be helpful, unless it would make things worse. So the next step 10, technically it's maintenance, but he says, watch out for fucked up thinking and behavior and be honest when it happens. So I really like the way his sponsor does this, because he does like a check-in every night. Did I do anything today that doesn't align with my values now? And there have been times, you know this, his sponsor is a lawyer. There have been times like he lied to a client about not being able to see them because he had another lunch scheduled, but he really didn't. He just made up an excuse, and he'll like go and he'll call the client and be like, I'm really sorry. I actually didn't have something scheduled. I can get you, you know, like, wow. Because that's how much it like that shame and that guilt, that's how much it fucks with you. So like, being honest about your behavior and fixing it immediately. And I think Jason has gotten really good at that. Like, even like if we're fighting and he says something out of pocket, like, and we both have, like, I've said it too. Like, I'll say something out of pocket and be like, I'm really sorry. That was a low blow. You know, but like just making sure that like you're maintaining the integrity and the values that you want to maintain. Like, don't slip off the beaten path. Like, make sure that you're being honest with people that you love. Make sure you're doing the right thing. And when you're not, just fix it. It's that simple. You don't have to beat yourself up over it. Just fix it. So in healing too.
I like that you brought that up, because I feel like that's something that I could totally work on.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Apologizing is really, really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially to your partner.
It really is. I feel like that's where it's the hardest.
It's the hardest.
We went through like a whole year where he was like, you never apologize. And I'd be like, yeah, because I apologized for so long, and fuck you. I'm not apologizing. You don't deserve apologies. And now I'm like, I'm sorry. It takes a while to get to a place. Yeah. I remember he said something like, you know, if you yell at the kids, you don't apologize. I was like, actually, I do. If I'm not fixing it immediately, then it's fixed at bedtime and you just don't see it.
Yeah.
But I really do apologize to the kids. And most of the time it's crazy, because I'll go and I'll be like, I'm really sorry I yelled at you earlier. And Austin will be like, when? I'm like, oh.
That's
okay.
That's who I find easy to apologize to.
The kids.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think that's because I was that kid who never got apologized to. So now it's easy for me to do it, because I don't want to be anything like that.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to a partner, different ballgame.
It's so hard.
It's
and I think
hard.
We should maybe like even talk about that in an episode, how hard it is to apologize. I think for me, in my situation, I always apologized first because I didn't want to sever that connection, and I was that people pleaser. So apologizing coming out of that era was like a new learned thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I had to learn how to apologize. And before, it was apologizing in a manipulative way.
Yeah.
Not because I was sorry for anything, but because I'm sorry I got mad.
I want attention.
No, fuck no. I shouldn't have been sorry that I got mad. Like, right. You were out doing God knows what, leaving me alone with kids and not calling me back. Like, I should have been mad. Right. I'm not going to apologize for that shit anymore.
Right.
So, yeah, learning how to apologize and mean it.
Yeah.
Was a journey for me.
Yeah.
So, it's hard. It's fucking hard.
Your hives are wild right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I'm like, are you nervous?
No.
Okay, good.
Maybe because I'm talking about this shit that like used to happen, and it's like, body keeps the score.
You know, when people are like, oh, I just sent an email to my boss holding my boundaries, and then they have a glass and they're like, because they're like, even though they're like trying to be strong, they're just inside. It's like, this is the dog I have in me, and it's like,
a little chihuahua shaking. Listen, I can talk about this stuff now. I don't feel like I'm getting hives, but yes, like this stuff is really hard for me. Okay. The step 11, stay connected to your new perspective. So basically just like stay in line with your values. Like remember your higher calling. I don't even like saying higher self, like who you want to be. Like remember to stay in line with the values of the person that you want to be. The role model being yourself. Like make sure that you're staying in line with that. So the last step is look at life less selfishly, be nice to everyone, and help people if you can. Now, in AA, it's service. Service is all about action. This stage is the rest of your life and involves applying everything you learned in AA to help build a brighter future for yourself. Now, I'm going to take that and remove it from the AA. They talk about this in AA a lot because they're like, once you've gotten through the steps, you can be of service to other people. But you have to get through the steps first.
So it's like Jason's sponsor.
Yes.
Like how he was an addict.
Yes.
Healed himself.
Yes.
Then became a sponsor to then help Jason.
Yes. And so Jason, now that he's through with this, I don't think he'll ever be a sponsor because he's kind of, I don't want to say removed himself from the AA model, but it's just a very restrictive model. And we can go into that in another episode. They talk about all these things, but they don't give you enough tools. They think that this is the only tool you need. And I don't agree with that. So with these 12 steps, I don't agree that these are the only steps. Yeah. It might be steps for someone who needs something tangible, but there needs to be tools. And there are no tools in what I've seen. There might be in other chapters. I'm not saying there aren't, but when you are removing yourself from a substance or a drink and you are having to learn to sit with your feelings without numbing, what are the tools that are going to help you do that in a safe way? Like, do you have grounding techniques? Have you tried breath work? Do you meditate? Do you talk to a therapist? Like, do you have these tools that you can revert back to so when things get hard, you're not like itching for a drink or drugs or whatever it was that was your choice of.
And like for us, I feel like, we will do mushrooms, a heroic journey once a year, maybe every 9-10 months or whatever. But then there are also things I do every day.
Yeah.
Literally every day.
Yeah.
That I have to keep up with.
Right.
And that could even be learning to say no to somebody I don't align with.
In a nice way. Yeah. In a soft way.
Yeah.
Well, and Jason meditates every morning. Like,
so does Tony.
He does his cold showers in the morning.
So does Tony.
He doesn't do ice baths, but like he probably would if we had one. But like he will do a cold. I hear him in the morning every morning. I'm like, I can't do it, bro. I can barely like wash my conditioner out with cold with cold water. Like I try. So he has tools in his toolbox on top of these steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the steps to healing and transformation.
I love that.
And I really like the last step being of service. I have like a shortened version of it. Like that's like when you like reach your transformation or your awakening phase. I really like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're enlightened or you're...
Show your little bracelet.
So I made this bracelet for Jason when he started AA because it has a crystal for each step. And the last the last set is like a quartz that stands for transformation because it's like you get to there and then you're like all like a pretty crystal.
I love that. See, that's so sweet.
So yeah, I gave this bracelet to someone a couple of weeks ago off of my wrist. I had one on my wrist and I was like, I've never made it for people. Like I made one for Jason. I made one for me. I've never sold it. I've never made it for anybody. And I was like, I feel like you need this more than I do. And take it for what it's worth to you. But like, it doesn't necessarily have to be AA steps.
Yeah.
This is a journey of transformation.
Yeah. Where can people get the bracelet?
Oh, you want me to sell my shit?
Yeah.
I have an Etsy shop where I make crystal bracelets and stuff. And I think that this is like maybe my sign that I need to start doing that again, because I kind of took a break for a little bit. And I still take orders, but I really like the idea behind this one, because it just reminds you that like this is also not linear, and healing is never linear, and you're never done. And so once you get to that like transformation phase, like there might be something else that comes up in your life where you feel powerless, and you're going to have to go through all these steps again. That self-reflection part of it is huge. Like how many things have you and I gone through literally since we started this journey? And it feels daunting at the time. And then we get through it. We do our steps. We don't, but we do. We did them without even knowing we were doing them. What role am I playing in this? The apology tours. Like, yeah. Anyway, I think it's really cool.
Okay.
You should get this book.
I will. Puff, puff, pass.
All right. I've had this game for fucking years and never played it because I don't smoke enough to play it.
I don't smoke at all.
And I also feel like if I played this as a real smoking game, I would be silent the entire time. Like I would be in a corner completely silent. But I love this game. It's called Puff Puff Pass, and you play it with your friends while you're high. But as I started looking through them, I was like, we don't have to be high to play this.
I mean, we microdose. That counts.
Yeah, totally counts. So I'm going to pull a card for you.
Okay.
Okay. That one's dumb. I'm going to find one.
Okay.
Okay. This isn't like, okay. You know what? You go first. You're going to like, you go first. Just pick a card.
Oh, not trivia. Oh my God.
No, don't do trivia. You do like the blue ones or the red ones, I think.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to cut some of this.
I can do that.
Oh my God. Okay, who? Oh, these are no. Who would be the most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse and why?
Out of me and you?
I guess.
Out of me and you.
Yeah.
To survive.
That's hard.
You know why that's hard? Because I feel like we would both survive.
And I feel like we have different skill sets.
We absolutely do.
Okay, so how about this? What would your skill set be in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh,
what would you bring to the table, bitch? And then what would I bring to the table? That's a really tough question. I just feel like I would survive. I would be really good at making friends with people who have other skill sets is what I would do. I would be really good friends with the gardener. I would be really good friends with the people who had all the firearms. I'm just a friendly person. So you'd be really popular in a
I would just be really popular and everybody would be nice to me.
Okay, so then what would my strength be?
You would be the fighter.
I would literally be fighting.
Yeah, I'd be behind you the whole time. Okay,
you would have a shield.
Survive.
You would have a shield. And you'd be like, you're doing great, sweetie.
It's not a fighter, okay? My cheek hurts. My cheeks hurt. I've been thinking about that though. Like, I don't have a skill set. Like, what do you want me? Like, you want me to like help you find your inner child? Like, we're in a zombie apocalypse. Like, there's not much that can help you with. Like, really?
Can I ask you another one?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't like that. If you had to tattoo one fact about yourself on your forehead, what would it be?
A fact about myself on my forehead. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay. There is this makeup artist that I follow who has a tattoo on her face, and it's under her eyebrow. And the word, I had to Google what the word meant, and I cannot remember what it was now, but I would get that word tattooed on my forehead. It is like... the meaning behind the word, I was like, oh, that's what that means. It means like being so afraid of your potential because you know that it's going to be like absurd. Like you have like so much potential, being afraid of your own power, being afraid of your own like inner person.
Interesting.
I'm going to have to find this word because I have been following her for a while and I've always wondered what that tattoo means. I want to go back to the zombie apocalypse thing though, because like, honestly, you know what I could do? I could help people process their pain and trauma.
We don't have time. We're in a zombie apocalypse.
Well, maybe sometimes when we're sitting in the farmhouse, like waiting for another wave of attack, like, you know, and there's somebody in the corner, like quivering and crying, I would be like, how do you feel? Let's talk about it. Let's get that out. Let's work on some somatic movements to get all this trauma out of our bodies.
What is your favorite conspiracy theory?
Oh, it's a big one. MK Ultra. And
that ain't a conspiracy theory.
Some people think it is.
It's true.
Some people think it is.
True.
And this shit that is attached to it, because there's so much more attached to it than I think people realize. Like the Unabomber is attached to it, and Dahmer, and not Dahmer. Who's the guy who had like the followers in prison?
Oh, Charles Manson.
Yeah, there we go. He was attached to it.
My turn.
Yeah. You've asked enough.
I know.
You've asked enough. Oh God. If you had unlimited money, but you could only buy 2 things that start with your first letter of your last name, what would they be?
Aquaphor.
Oh, you're okay. Okay.
Aquaphor goes on everything.
Okay.
Oh God. Okay. And Amanita mushrooms.
That's actually a really good one. Okay. I've got 2 good ones. Number 1, are we in a simulation?
Oh God.
I think yes.
I feel like yes.
But I don't think in the way that people think that we're in a simulation.
Okay, so what do you think?
I think that like everything and nothing is real. And I don't think that there are like, I don't think we're in like a video game type simulation.
And everything and nothing matters.
Yeah.
Wow.
So profound. But no, I do think that there are like higher powers doing things and controlling things that we're not aware of. And I think that sometimes people have access to that and sometimes they don't. And it really makes you think that like what you just said, like nothing really matters.
Yeah.
But everything matters.
Yeah.
And what's all this for anyway? Like, what are we doing this for anyway? If we're just going to die and come right back, like, and learn another life by going through another level, like, it's crazy when you really start to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one last debate question. Is artificial intelligence something we should embrace or be afraid of?
I think I'll be a little bit afraid of.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that one movie? Meryl Streep, where she's like the president.
Don't Look Up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you sure? Wait, no, I'm thinking of a movie with like, I'm blanking on all my names. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it.
No. Okay. I don't know what I'm thinking of. But yeah, I think there are good things, but I think the way that it's going, I'm like, are we going to get wiped out?
I have a husband in tech who is very afraid of where it's going.
AI scares me a little bit.
It's a little bit terrifying.
But I think it's terrifying.
Yeah, I agree. I am like, you watch that movie like Machina X or Machina. Oh, I'm butchering so many fucking things right now.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like a movie about like a robot who like starts feeling sentient. And what's that movie that, or it was like a series on HBO, something about the Wild West. They would go out there and like it was like art, it was like robots and stuff, and they would interact with them.
Yeah, it freaks me out.
Totally until they started feeling things, and then they started fighting back.
Yeah, no, it freaks me out.
It was based on like a movie, but it's not long, and there have been rumors that have been like immediately removed from the internet where people have had proof that like their AI is becoming sentient and feeling things and feeling emotions, and can you ask people who are like big up in the tech world are being silenced about it, so it's a little bit scary.
Yeah, okay. Well, can you ask me one more thing that's like lighter and funnier?
Oh yeah, okay. Okay.
I don't want to end on that note.
Okay. What pastime is far and away the best to do when you're high?
Dude, this is from my Roman Empire. We just said it.
Yeah.
I love getting high and watching some Bravo and diagnosing those narcissistic, sociopathic motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's like some deep dives. I have one more because this is really funny.
Okay.
You are the leader of a new society. Which ritual must every 18-year-old complete in order to become an adult? I feel like this is so easy for me.
Okay, what would you say?
Really?
Yeah.
You got to go on a journey.
Oh,
go on a sabbatical. Go to the jungle, do some ayahuasca, go do some mushrooms. When you turn 18, like, go find yourself.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
I don't even think that that's a funny thing. Like, I think you absolutely should.
I was trying to think of something funny.
Oh.
But I don't know what that would be.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I would say with that, you have to study and learn about, and I don't know how I would like whatever, but you'd have to learn and study about other things that you weren't taught or conditioned to believe.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To become more of a critical thinker.
I think far more people at the age of 18 are pushed into college and a career that they end up hating and a life that they didn't want for themselves, but other people in society and their family wanted for them.
Get married, have kids.
Yeah, and we're like one of the only cultures that doesn't have rituals into adulthood. Mm-hmm. Like it's embarrassing, really. Like
we lack culture.
We really do.
Yeah.
Like it's sad, but think of there are so many rituals with birth and death and coming of age and marriage. And it's like, we don't have any of that. Like when my kids turn 18, I don't want them to go straight into college and straight into careers. I want them to figure out who they are without all the noise.
I don't know if you know Gary Vee, but
know.
Yeah. So he's like a entrepreneur, gives a lot of like business advice. He always says like, you're not an adult if your parents are paying for all the shit that you do. If you want to have your own opinion, then figure out a way to like provide your own life.
Ooh.
Like, but he talks about like, I would, instead of my kid going to college, I'd rather give them money to travel the world for 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
See all different cultures, different people.
Yeah.
Different philosophies, different ways of living.
Different religions, different upbringings,
all of it,
different cultures for sure. Yeah, that's a really beautiful thing. Yeah, I want that for my kids. I wish I had that at 18.
Same.
Okay.
All right.
Great episode. We'll add my Etsy link in the bio if anybody wants a transformation bracelet. And we hope this helped. Stay curious. Be open. We'll see you on the other side.
Bye.